Welcome to Design Around the World. I'm Carina and today we're in Warner Brothers Studios in Tokyo.
If you find the wondrous world of Harry Potter as magical as I do, you're going to love this episode. I find that the work done by the artists and creatives here are some of the most inspiring. This has been our year of Harry Potter, especially since last August we visited the Warner Brothers studio in London. This year we're visiting Tokyo's version, and it did not disappoint. As you walked into the property, there were blue animal sculptures representing the Patronus that the wizards and witches conjured up in the books and movies. How cute are these? As you step into the lobby, it had a room with a continuous movie screen. This is where everyone also ends up after they go through the entire experience, so I might have snuck over to the gift store to take a little video and found this fabulous display that included paper cutouts. Absolutely beautifully done. The walk into the start of the exhibit is incredible, and it seems a little bit longer than the London version. There were extremely large posters of photos from the movies. It was cool to see all the versions as well as see the Japanese writing on them. There was also a wall dedicated to the people behind the scenes that made Harry Potter happen. I love the layouts presented here, from the large photos to the overlapping movie posters. It was super dynamic and kept our interest as we walked through the first mini show. Once you pass all of these images, there is a room you stand in and watch a show before you move on to the theater room. This show introduced us to the Japanese actor who was the voice for Harry Potter. Then we all walked into a room that had these monstrous doors behind a movie screen. I didn't film any of the movie, but here we are walking into our first exhibition room. The initial room is of the dining hall in Hogwarts. The one in London featured the floating candles, which you can see is missing here. It was still a great room featuring clothing for the actors, the cool wing stand that Dumbledore stands behind, and other fabulous details. From the dining room, you also walk directly into the exhibit, and you are immediately introduced to many of the details that artists and creatives work on to create the Harry Potter world. The details of these pieces are amazing, and you can see how much thought and beauty went into creating Harry Potter's world.
Style. We would use that concept art definitely when I'd show it to Paul Westcott, so we had something to base his cover on.
It's got many elements in there. There might be marble, there might be panel work. So that tells us where we're going to go.
Next, we walked into the 3D area where everything was life-size. The moving staircase area with all the ornately framed portraits was incredible. I love how the materials look old when it was obvious that they're not. And check out this incredible wallpaper and stonework in this room. The animals and the trees look absolutely medieval, but it pops on the pink. And while we're looking at wallpaper, this mural looks old, intricate, and is extremely well done. It is a mix of wallpaper and then the ornate carvings on this wall that brings everything together for me. Everything looks old even though it's brand new. The light fixtures and dramatically high circle windows add to the effect. It is the attention to every detail that makes these exhibitions so awesome. This coat of arms displays the Hogwarts houses of Ravenclaw, Slytherin, Gryffindor, and Hufflepuff. Check out the in-depth details of these ships from the fourth book, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I can only imagine the amount of work and details that went into creating the Room of Requirement. Placing a bunch of random stuff that had to look old together had to be a lot of work. And you can see here where they really are trying to diversify the shapes and sizes so that the stacks look interesting and different, yet the same. Next, I headed over to Dumbledore's office. This lit up piece of architecture caught my eye because everything about it is so beautiful. It probably had 3 seconds on screen. Every bit of this office is interesting, with intricate fabrics and even these tiny little vials, each with their own graphic design work on them. The circular nature of Dumbledore's office makes it an interesting place with its bookshelves, lamps, baubles, and instruments. Can you imagine building all of these cool things and thinking about how they would look in a space like this? It's a mix of interior design, industrial design, graphic design, and architecture, which is maybe why I love the work here so much. As you walk through the exhibit, there are these walls dedicated to showing you interesting works done on masks and objects of interest like brooms.
Not unlike the wands, brooms reveal much about the characters in the film, although they are more like a vehicle. Most of the brooms we first see are the standard issue screw brooms, which are more like a box of used cricket bats that have been gathered in dust. And they're rubbish, really. But the number 2000 is the early sports car of the brooms. It's sleek and special. Its shape and design suggests a speedy and high-performance broom. Moody's broom is set back and low. It's more like a lone rider motorcycle. And with Arthur Weasley, he has handlebars for steering, and we add a real bike pedals for stirrups. He's more cautious than Milo Moody, so the prop tells you that without having to say it out loud. It's all about telling the story visually.
And if you love clothing design, this exhibit didn't disappoint, so you could examine the beautiful details of many of the costumes. How would you like to be the one in charge of putting together all the glass jars down in Professor Snape's potions room? This room is dark and delightful with so many details. Well, and then there are the books. Yes, someone dug in and brought these books to life. The colors, materials, and artwork looks as old as magic itself. Before we step into the Forbidden Forest, make sure that you have subscribed to my design videos so you never miss an episode. All right, it is time to head into the Forbidden Forest, which is done so well. Looking for centaurs, unicorns, and other magical creatures, this is for sure the place to come. The trees are created to make us feel small. Look how big those roots look. There was also an area where you could wave a wand or an arm to summon a Patronus. This was especially crowded, but I saw several people summon dogs, horses, and cats. While the Patronus area was delightful, maybe all those people were just avoiding walking through the spooky area of Dementors and spiders. I couldn't film much in here because, well, it was just dark. From the dark, we headed into the fabulous outdoor area where you can see Hagrid's hut. This area also led into the dining hall. And before I headed in there, I took a glance at the map, and this is about the halfway point in the exhibitions. We weren't sad to get our hands on some butterbeer, popcorn, and some lunch food. I liked the food better here than in London. It felt like there was a bigger selection, but maybe I was just extra hungry. The pot pie here even had a Marauders map stamped onto it. And this dessert was enough for our entire family of 5. And by the way, the butterbeer cups are souvenirs, and we brought ours back from London, so of course our family wanted to bring these back as well. There's a washing station dedicated to just washing and drying your butterbeer mugs. Next up, there was a lot of checking out the outside exhibits. This bridge that looks like the one that Neville and Seamus blow up in the movies was pretty fun. Then my kids reenacted the chess scene from the first Harry Potter book. I also made my director debut. Tell me how I do.
Once I make my move.
That was too fast afterwards. Do the shot again. Okay, go. Okay. Wait, Siri, get ready? Go.
Shot 1, take 2. Once I make my move, you'll be free to check the king.
No! Ron, no!
What is it?
He's going to sacrifice himself!
No, Ron, you can't! There must be another way! Do you want to stop Snape from getting that stone or not? Harry, it's you that has to go on. I know it. Not me, not Hermione, you.
Next, we went into the Dursley house and we got to see letters flying around and Aunt Marge starting to balloon up and fly out the window. Notice how the wallpaper in the kitchen feels exactly right for this Muggle kitchen. And if you had enough with Muggles, then the best place to go is to platform 9 3/4, where you can get on the Hogwarts Express. This shiny engine is iconic. Gift shops on the side are detailed with baggage areas and postage areas, anything that denotes the feeling of travel and being on the go. The details and colors are absolutely delightful. I don't think we actually went on the train in London, either because it was unavailable or because we didn't want to wait for the line. This time we did, but it was so tight I didn't get any videos of it. For those of you who have been on the Hogwarts Express in Universal Studios Florida, it's basically like that. There was also a video on how they made the train. If you're obsessed with the design details like I am, then you will love these exhibits that show off even the plaster molding process of these little wood pieces that tell you what moldings belong to what. Or how about these details that are pretty mind-blowing, especially when they're singled out in these exhibits. How would you like to create marble by painting it? And according to the display, many of the backdrops were hand-painted, not printed, and the artistry went far beyond that with the shaping of materials like wood and block into rubble, stones, and more.
For the set, and sometimes we even sculpted entire set pieces, like the trees in the Forbidden Forest, or Salazar Slytherin's huge head.
Everywhere I turned, it was all about the details and how those details were made. Maybe the coolest rooms are towards the end of the exhibition, starting with the Ministry of Magic. The amazing green and red tiles and the sculpture in the center is incredible. I love all the graphic design work being done here, including all the newspapers that were created for this series. And how about this creature feature with models of dragons and Fluffy from Harry Potter 1, or this Thestral, and more. Puppetry was used throughout the movie to make things seem more lifelike, while other elements were motorized like this monster book. Just look at what the inside of this book looks like. And here again is the final book. This section on puppetry is pretty cool, including how they use computer animation to also bring to life these characters.
This is how things normally work when there's a creature in the scene. I talk to a puppet, or in this case, a stuffy, and after filming is completed, the VFX team steps in to bring that creature further to life. Let's put you back in here. The art of creating a digitally animated creature, put simply, starts with a design sketch. The design sketch is then made into a three-dimensional computer model, which is then, it's a sort of simplified version that we can use to rehearse ideas before we start filming. At this point, the VFX team starts animating the character.
There is also an entire section dedicated to sound and how it was created.
To capture audio on set, we use a variety of microphones. This is a wireless lavalier mic. You hook it to the actor's costume, and it feeds directly into my field recorder.
Well, come on then!
For an actor that needs to yell, a boom mic, like this one here, will give you far more dynamic range. A boom mic is just a directional microphone attached to a pole that...
Hallows Part 2. The Foley department provided dragon sounds for claws, footsteps, the dragon's chain, and of course the sound of its fiery breath. When the dragon finally reached the roof of Gringotts Bank, we needed to create the sound of its massive and powerful wings flapping as it struggled to gain flight. And this is how we did it, with this piece of leather.
Reduction!
The sounds we devised for the Horcruxes were to help explain Harry's emotional connection to each of them. To do that, we explored sounds that made people feel anxious and uncomfortable, like piano strings being scraped, vuvuzelas being blown, and any sound that sets people's teeth on edge.
Then, of course, they went over the score of the Harry Potter series, which was incredible. Moving on, we headed into Diagon Alley in its full glory. There were pots and windows full of cool knickknacks and bottles. We love the Diagon Alley at Universal Studios in Florida, and after seeing the set in Tokyo and in London, it's pretty spot on. Just look at all the details up to the scissors above the door on this shop, or the cages in the shop window. After leaving Diagon Alley, you get into a hallway showing you much of the graphic design work done for the set, including posters, plaques, wooden signs, and great typography and more. This work captured interesting shapes and lent itself to building more of the world. It was pretty cool just to see how many different colors, types, and shapes were being used here, but they all work perfectly in the Harry Potter universe. And then of course, there was all the paper paraphernalia and cool objects like this clock. How about all the details showcased on these walls? Or how this tapestry was created to show Sirius Black's family tree. And then there is all the gifts and goods that were featured in the shops, including the Weasley shop. The packaging design here is fabulous with meticulous details in every piece. And how about the intricacies of all these books and letters? And just like the tour in London, this one in Tokyo ends with the monstrous model of Hogwarts. The entire thing is just amazing. After finishing the exhibit, it was spending a lot of time in the gift shop, and we went through the checkout line not one, not two, but 3 times as we forgot items or kids who wanted stuff, and we had to go through extra times. And that was our fabulous day at Warner Brothers Studio in Tokyo. If you love the Design Around the World series or want to see more of my travels to Japan, or see any of the new videos I've been doing about design, please subscribe to the channel. I cannot wait to see you there.